Welcome, dear listeners, to a tale that will take you deep into the heart of the wild, where the line between human and animal blurs, and the bonds we least expect can change lives forever. Imagine this: a quiet evening in a tranquil forest, where the setting sun casts long shadows and the air hums with mystery. It's here that a man named David encounters something extraordinary, a moment that will lead him down a path of courage, compassion, and unexpected purpose. If you've ever wondered how far empathy can truly reach or what secrets the wilderness might hold, then stay with me. This is a story about discovery, resilience, and the quiet power of hope. Let's begin. As the sun began to set over the tranquil forest, a man named David stumbled upon a heart-wrenching sight. A bear, tears streaming down its furry face, stood before him, pleading for help. David's heart skipped a beat as he tried to comprehend the reason behind the bear's sorrowful cries. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. It wasn't unusual for David to come across a bear in the wild. He had hiked through enough forest to know they were almost unavoidable, at least on the trials he hiked. But there was something about this bear that stood out to him instantly. It didn't show anger or aggression, but it didn't run away either. It even almost looked like the bear was crying. David's first instinct was to make himself bigger and yell loudly in the hope of scaring away the bear, but he quickly realized that wasn't working at all. Slowly, the bear even began to walk his way. David, unsure of what to do, froze. He stood there frozen as the bear carefully sniffed his jeans, his shoes, and even his hands. David knew that with one sudden bite, his fingers could be gone. David knew there was something about this bear that didn't sit right. Then it suddenly dawned on him. The bear was asking for help. When he was done pretending to sniff everything, the bear got down on all fours again and began to walk away. David sighed. Was that all the bear wanted from him? So it growled loudly, telling David to follow. David was now 100% sure the bear wanted him to follow it. So David obeyed. He began to walk toward the bear, and as soon as the bear noticed David was coming its way, it began to walk as well. As they hiked down the trail, David's mind raced with thoughts. What if the bear was tricking him and they were actually on their way to David's death? The bear led him down the trail he had already planned to hike up until almost 30 minutes had passed. So, why bring him here? He carefully looked around, searching for a cub in need, but there was none. Suddenly, the bear began to pace around the riverbank. David realized the bear actually did want him to cross over to the other side, but probably realized that wasn't possible anymore. There had been a lot of rainfall the day before, which could be the reason for the excessive amount of water in the river. The bear had possibly crossed the river before the water had gotten so high. Suddenly, David heard a sound coming from the other side of the river. He instantly felt like they were very close to whatever the bear needed help with. But how on earth could he cross such a dangerous river? He heard the sound again, but was confused over what it could be. It didn't sound like a bear cub at all. David looked around him and noticed something hovering over the river a few meters down. He quickly walked toward it, hoping the bear wouldn't think he was running away. David approached what appeared to be a makeshift bridge, a precarious arrangement of fallen trees and vines spanning the rushing river. With a deep breath, David stepped onto the bridge. Each step was a test to his determination to help the bear, to understand the urgency behind its actions. Finally, with a tentative step, the bear placed a paw on the bridge. The structure swayed slightly under its weight, but held encouraged. The bear slowly followed David, its eyes fixed on him as a source of trust. Reaching the other side, David let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. He turned back to see the bear making its final steps onto solid ground. For a moment, they just stood there, man and bear, on the edge of the unknown, bound by a shared ordeal. The bear, now on the same side as David, shook itself as if shedding the fear of the crossing. There was a sense of understanding, a silent agreement that they were in this together. David followed as the bear led the way deeper into the forest, stepping into a world far from the trails he knew, guided by an unlikely companion. Following the bear, David ventured deeper into the forest. Further along the path, David came across more signs of human activity. A length of frayed rope hung from a tree branch, and nearby lay a few scattered rusted items that once might have been part of a tool or equipment. These remnants, seemingly abandoned and reclaimed by nature, hinted at a human presence that was both out of place and long gone, adding layers to the mysteries surrounding their trek. As they ventured deeper, the items they encountered suggested a narrative long lost to time. David imagined a caravan of performers and animals, a traveling circus that somehow met its end in this remote place. David emerged from the dense forest into a clearing that took his breath away. Before him lay the remnants of an abandoned circus. The big top, once a symbol of joy and wonder, was now tattered and fading, its stripes bleached by the elements. As he moved closer, David's eyes were drawn to a series of cages. Inside, he saw animals, some pacing restlessly, others lying still, resigned. Their eyes told stories of neglect and longing. As they wandered through the circus grounds, David noticed the bear's behavior change. Standing amidst the ruins, David felt a sense of profound loss. This circus, once a place of wonder, had been reclaimed by nature and forgotten by the world. The grim reality of the scene before him left David feeling overwhelmed. The animals, clearly mistreated and neglected, stirred a deep sense of sorrow and anger within him. As David observed the bear's behavior, it became evident that the bear had a history with this place. It moved among the cages with a familiarity that spoke of a past life spent here. In a frantic attempt, David pulled out his phone, his fingers trembling as he dialed for help. The signal was weak, barely a flicker of connectivity in this remote part of the forest. Finally, a faint connection was established, and David quickly conveyed the urgency of the situation. His voice was a mix of desperation and determination. David's voice was steady but urgent as he described the location and the dire circumstances of the abandoned circus and its captive animals. As David ended the call, the phone signal flickered and died, leaving him in silence once again. The reality of their isolation set in, and with it, a feeling of fading hope. David prepared to spend the night near the cages, understanding the necessity of keeping watch over the animals. He found some comfort in the bear's calm presence, a silent alley in the midst of uncertainty. He gathered some branches to make a makeshift shelter, his mind racing with thoughts of the rescue team, their arrival time, and the logistics of transporting the animals. Settling in for the night, David's sense of responsibility weighed heavily on him. The sounds of the forest at night were a constant backdrop, but his focus remained on the animals. He checked on them periodically, offering words of comfort, though he knew they couldn't understand him. Despite his exhaustion, his mind was a whirlwind of concern for the animals and hope for their rescue. In the quiet moments of the night, David reflected on the bear's incredible journey and his unexpected role in it. As the first light of dawn broke through the trees, David heard the distant sound of vehicles approaching. His heart leaped with hope. Soon, a convoy of rescue vehicles emerged, led by wildlife conservationists and law enforcement. Relief washed over David as he greeted the team. They quickly assessed the situation, their expressions a mix of shock and determination. For David, the arrival of the rescue team was a much-awaited promise of salvation for the animals. As the rescue operation commenced, the team unearthed the dark past of the abandoned circus. Old records found on site revealed its illegal operations, including the poaching and illicit trade of exotic animals. The sordid history of the circus, now exposed, painted a grim picture of exploitation and cruelty that had gone unnoticed for years. David actively participated in the rescue operation, helping to calm the animals as they were being freed. He assisted the team in unlocking cages and providing immediate care. Each animal, from the bear to the smallest monkey, was carefully examined and treated. The discovery of the abandoned circus and the subsequent rescue operation quickly garnered media attention. Journalists and news crews arrived, documenting the dramatic unfolding of events. Interviews with David and the rescue team highlighted the plight of the animals and the illegal activities of the circus. The story spread rapidly, shining a spotlight on wildlife rights and the dark underbelly of animal exploitation. It became a talking point, stirring public emotion and debate on the issue. The story of the forgotten circus and its animal victims brought to light the need for stricter wildlife protection laws and ethical treatment of animals in captivity. The bear, once a performer in this tragic show, became a symbol of resilience and hope. The legacy of the lost circus evolved into a catalyst for change, inspiring action and awareness in the fight for animal rights. Following the rescue, David found a new purpose in becoming an advocate for animal rights. He spoke at public forums, participated in wildlife conservation events, and collaborated with animal welfare organizations. His experience with the bear and the abandoned circus had transformed him into a passionate voice for those who could not speak for themselves. David began sharing his incredible story widely. He gave interviews, wrote articles, and even started a blog detailing his journey from an unsuspecting hiker to an animal rights advocate. His story inspired others to take action, spreading a message of empathy and responsibility towards all living creatures. In quieter moments, David reflected on the profound impact of his adventure. The experience had reshaped his understanding of the natural world and his place within it. He thought about the bear, the bond they had formed, and how it had altered the course of his life. This journey had not only saved the lives of the animals, but had also awakened in him a deeper appreciation for nature and its inhabitants. David continued to visit the forest, the place where his life had taken an unexpected turn. These visits were a reminder of his commitment to protecting wildlife and preserving their habitats. He often walked the trails, hoping to catch a glimpse of the bear, now a free resident of the forest. Each visit reinforced his resolve to be a guardian for nature, ensuring that the beauty and sanctity of the wild were respected and preserved. To David, the bear had become a symbol of hope and change. It represented the strength and resilience of nature and its ability to inspire human action. Although he didn't see the bear on every visit, its legacy lived on in his work and advocacy. The bear had unknowingly set David on a path of guardianship and activism, a journey that continued to unfold with each step he took towards protecting and honoring the natural world around him.